Stephen A., I understand you wanted to follow up on some of the backlash that Tim specifically has been receiving.
I'm very disgusted by it. Let me be very, very clear. I don't agree with everything that Tim Tebow said. Tim Tebow is basically raving about amateurism. I would make the argument that amateurism doesn't exist really in college football and college basketball. There's just too much money that's being made. But I totally respect and appreciate the perspective which he came from. This is a guy that basically loves amateurism and doesn't want the sport tarnished by people getting paid, because obviously it invites some potentially shady individuals into the mix of college football. It takes away, in his eyes, amateurism, the authentic element that comes along with amateurism, the support of parents and family members and school, institutions, all of those different things.
Yep.
My thing is this. I totally understand, particularly people in the minority community, especially if you come from an impoverished or depraved background, where you would take issue to what he's saying because you're saying what was applicable to him isn't applicable to somebody else. But to castigate this man and excoriate him in that fashion, to me, was utterly ridiculous. Well, Tim Tebow, I just want to make this point, Max. Tim Tebow was not some rich, privileged dude. I mean, he was in missionaries, for crying out loud. Go ahead and look at his background. He doesn't come from some privileged background. That's number one. Number two, and more importantly, and this is the part that I wanted to get to, people better get used to this. I don't know why y'all haven't been convinced of this yet. This show is the real deal. We mean what we say, and we say what we mean. That's true. But we invite different and evolved opinions. I don't want Tim Tebow or anybody on this show who is going to mirror what I think. I want to hear different perspectives. I want to hear a different angle on things. I applauded the fact, although I didn't totally agree, I applauded the fact that Tim Tebow had a perspective that I just didn't think about. What do you mean passing up money? What do you mean you had the #1 jersey and you never got a dime and you didn't care? I would have cared. That doesn't make it a crime. And so when you're watching this show, understand that Tim Tebow, Max Kellerman, Will Kane, Ryan Clark, I don't give a damn who it is, Jeff Saturday, Dan Orlovsky, the list goes on and on. I don't want anybody on this show that's going to agree and march in lockstep with what we think. Calling Tim Tebow the names that you called him and attacking him on social media the way that they did over this weekend. Folks should be ashamed of their damn self. That's all I wanted to say.
The nature of the debate about college football in particular, or college sports and paying athletes, comes down to this. I love this sport because of the amateurism, because they're not getting paid. That's part of why I like it, because of school spirit and everything else. The other side says, yes, but because you like it, once you point the camera at it, you become a consumer. Once you sell commercial time, everyone's getting paid except for the athletes, and I'm sorry, we can't have that. So it is paradoxically, as soon as you try to sell people what they want and give them the product of what they want, it undermines itself, because it essentially becomes professional for everyone involved except the athlete. That's the nature of the debate, what's underneath it. And now there are levels to it, because you can talk about the racial components to it and who is not. Okay. All Tim Tebow was doing was expressing one side of that view. I really love what we have, and I don't want to see it go. And in fact, I followed him by saying, yes, but Tim, if it's illegal, it just can't be.
Yes,
I'm sorry,
did.
we're going to have to change.
You absolutely did.
Okay, so what is Tim Tebow really the victim of here? In the social media age, this is a social media hit job on Tim, in the sense that, and by the way, it's the nature of the business. We know people who run our social media understand. People will respond to this one way or another. They'll feel something based on what he said. So it gets clipped and it gets disseminated. The nature of social media, particularly Twitter, is to get clicks based on indignation. Here is a point of view that many of you may feel indignant about it. Click on it so you can show your indignation in this Twitter mob. And that's what happened. You only saw one side of a debate, only part of Tim's argument. You did not see our responses to it. You did not see it in the context of an overall discussion in which different sides of the issue, which has been argued for decades now, were expressed. And so even the nature of the way it's disseminated, people who disagree already know. They're basically told. It's kind of advertised by the clip itself. Ooh, I'm going to be indignant about it. They already have the signal. They click on it, and they get what they came for, a little shot of indignation.
Yeah, you can look at it that way, but let's take it a step further. We're also culpable to some degree. For example, I love the folks here at First Take. I think we do a fabulous job, but I don't think we did Tim Tebow any favors because as extensive as he was in his dialogue, that should have been placed on social media, not a 30-second or a minute clip of what he had to say. And you can relate to this because, listen, if I see another time where Max Kellerman is calling Tom Brady a bum, how many times have you said, excuse me, I was wrong, I shouldn't have? You said that the next segment. But somehow, some way, you know, folks, including us, put on social media, you said Brady was a bum. And I have to come on the air and come to your defense and wait a minute. He immediately corrected that and just said, yes, he's going to fall off a cliff, but I shouldn't have said, but I should have never called him a bum. Kids are watching, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
And it's
so we don't need to do that. We need to be better. We need to be responsible. But more importantly, the reason why I feel the need to speak up for Tim Tebow is because Tim Tebow ain't here. Tim Tebow shows up once a week. Tim Tebow shows up on a Friday for 8 minutes. And again, on College game day, you ain't got time to be addressing something like that. That's not the platform for it. This is the platform for it. And I pride myself on being fair to everybody. If I could be fair to Colin Kaepernick and his lady, if I could be fair to Antonio Brown, if I could be fair to a litany of athletes that I could be fair to, I'll be damned if I'm not going to be fair to Tim Tebow. We did him no favors in that regard. And a lot of people out there who would disagree with him, I'm saying listen to his whole point. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.